Each year we ask a high school graduate to share on behalf of the class. We ask them to share about how they have grown in their relationship with the Lord and how Carmel has invested them along with families in order to pour in them so that they may know Christ fully. And so this year we've asked Shelby Koelz to share on behalf of the class of 2020. And so Shelby earlier this week made this video and wanted to share it with the rest of the class. So enjoy and take a look.
Good evening, class of 2020 Carmel students, family, and friends. I would have loved to be celebrating and speaking with you all tonight in person, but I'm really glad we still have this opportunity to be face-to-face. I'd just like to take a few minutes to reflect over our years here at Carmel and our nearly 6 years now as a part of student ministry. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Populin and Pastor Alex for their years of leading our church so well while we've been here at Carmel. Some of us have practically grown up at Carmel. We were dedicated as babies, we memorized verses for Grow, and some of us even went to Wee School where we sang songs with Miss Peggy. Thank you, Miss Debbie, for leading us during our years of preschool ministry where we first learned that Jesus loved us. But no matter when you joined Carmel, I've really seen something special about our class that we do such a good job of bringing people into the Carmel family. In elementary school, we had the awesome experience of Fam Jam and Kid Jam, where the Elevate team taught us to take in and live out monthly themes. Thank you, Miss Sunley, for overseeing this and also overseeing the many years of planning Covenant, Boot, Tabernacle, and Genesis Camp. These are some of the funnest memories that we had in our childhood, and they are something we will never forget. As we transitioned into 6th grade, the Kilcoins oversaw preteen ministry, where we learned that our faith in Jesus is like an umbrella that helps shield us from storms in life. In 6th grade, we were able to go on the blessing retreat, and despite the power going out and it being really windy, we had an amazing time, and our parents were able to pray an intentional blessing over us as we went into the next phase of our life. When we moved on to student ministry, we had so many amazing pastors, staff, and student interns who intentionally planned curriculum that would lead us through our middle school and high school years. We had so many people that poured into us through DC's, NAV, Midweek, and C2. I'd like to thank Joseph McMurray, who spent our first few years as our student pastor when we were in the loft and then the gym. We saw the transition as a class from the gym into our new student center, and also Ryan becoming student pastor. I'd really like to thank Ryan and Rachel not only for serving at Carmel, but also for serving us by opening up your home for so many nights of worship and fellowship. Thank you, Ms. Butler, for organizing so many different aspects of student ministry so we can have an amazing experience. I also want to thank Sophia for serving us through organizing NAV and speaking at Midweek. And thank you, Jason, for also speaking at Midweek and pouring into student leadership, even though our class has only seen you and your family here at Carmel for a few months. As a class, we had the amazing opportunity to go on the Survivor Retreat. I know there we grew a lot closer as a class. That was a super fun weekend where we got to learn about dedicating our lives to Christ. We walked through the Purity for Life milestone, and we sang about how God was our lighthouse. Many of our Sunday nights as a class were spent battling it out in Foursquare and volleyball matches when the Sea Legs opened up their home for us for C2. I'd like to thank Nat and Megan for pouring into us and teaching us about Christ at C2 and building relationships with so many people in our class. We saw the transition from C2 to NAV, and I would like to thank countless families who opened up their homes for us and the leaders who taught us the skill of reading God's Word. This is a life-transforming skill that we're going to be able to take on no matter what comes next after graduation. COVID set aside, our classes walked through events that have drawn us together unlike any other class. We've experienced the loss of family and friends, and I would just like to thank all our mentors at Carmel. You've sympathized with us, processed this with us, and you've helped to see God's faithfulness through it all. If you look at the history of the class of 2020 at Carmel, one thing you might notice is change. But if you really look at the big picture, what you'll notice is God's faithfulness. I've been looking over the themes that we've been taught throughout our time in student ministry this past week, and it is very evident that God has been preparing us for a season like this and whatever may come after graduation. Some of the themes at Pause have been we being many are one and the unity we have as a youth group. Then we went through embracing the wild when God brings us into uncharted and uncertain times. And this year alone, we talked about having a hope that is unshakable wave after wave. At camp, we talked about moments and how we can use these moments for the gospel and how God uses those moments to change us and others. It's so apparent that God has been working through ministry at Carmel to prepare us for a senior year unlike any other class at our church has experienced, and for whatever may come after graduation, no matter if it is uncertain. In John chapter 9, Jesus heals a man who was born blind, and this man is so impacted by the change that Jesus has made in his life, he runs and tells all his family and friends, who instantly question him. And he says in verse 25, "Whether he is a sinner, I do not know. One thing I know is that I was blind, and now I see." Then this man is cast out by the Jewish people for following Jesus. And this is Jesus' response in verses 35 through 39. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered, "And who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said, "You have seen him, and it is he who you are speaking to." He said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into the world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." What is really cool about this story in John chapter 9 is that this is what we experience when we come into a relationship with Jesus. I'm sure since freshman year, or like even before, all of us have heard the phrase 2020 vision like a million times. And despite this, none of us could have seen what was coming for our senior year. But when we come into a relationship with Christ, we have a new worldview that allows us to see the hope we have in a future that is secure. Whatever comes next for us as a class is bound to be filled with change and uncertainty. But through it all, God will be constant. He never changes. So, as a class, as the class of 2020, let's take what we have taken in all these years at Carmel and live it out. Let us display the gospel through our lives so that others may learn about the 2020 vision and the hope they can have that is only found in Jesus Christ. Congratulations, class of 2020.